We'll be doing a very familiar, heartwarming craft activity that evokes many school memories, cutting and pasting to create an eraser out of paper. This is a voice-only tutorial, so you just need to listen, imagine, and let your hands follow the instructions. No need to look at the screen, no need to write down the details, no need to stress about making it. Before we begin, try to think about the eraser you used to use. Maybe a simple white eraser, a cute little pink eraser, or one with a paper wrapper. An eraser is a very small object, but it's associated with correcting mistakes, erasing incorrect writing, and starting over. The image of an eraser alone carries a very cute, gentle, and positive meaning. Now, prepare your workspace. Choose a flat, well-lit surface where you can sit quietly for a few minutes without being disturbed. Take out some colored paper. You can choose white, pink, light blue, or any color you like for the eraser body. If you want it to look like an eraser with a paper casing, you can prepare additional light blue, light brown, or gray paper. Prepare scissors, glue, and a pencil. Once everything is ready, let's start with the basic shape of the eraser. Hold the piece of paper you'll use for the eraser body. Use a pencil to draw a small rectangle with slightly rounded corners. Erasers usually don't have very sharp edges, so draw gentle curves at the four corners to make the shape look softer. The size doesn't need to be too large, just enough to feel like a familiar eraser. Once you've drawn it slowly, cut along the outline. Cut slowly and evenly so you can feel the shape of the eraser gradually taking shape. After cutting the main body, place it on the table and observe. If any edges aren't smooth, you can gently adjust them. At this point, you have the basic shape of the eraser. Next, we'll add thickness to the eraser so it doesn't look flat. Using the same color paper, glue this thin strip of paper around the edge of the rectangle to create the feeling of thickness. You don't need to glue it perfectly, just enough so that when viewed, the viewer perceives it as a solid object. When gluing, do it slowly so the strip of paper doesn't wrinkle or become misaligned. Now, let's move on to the paper casing of the eraser. If you want it to look more familiar, take some blue, light brown, or gray paper and draw a long rectangle about 1/3 the height of the eraser. Cut this out. This will be the outer paper casing of the eraser. You can cut out another small piece to create the illusion of a folded layer. Glue this paper casing around the body of the eraser, leaving the two ends of the eraser visible on either side. At this point, the image of the eraser is very clear and familiar. If you want, you can use a pencil to draw a few thin lines on the paper casing to suggest folds or printed patterns. Next, we add a few small details to make the eraser look more lively. You can draw a very small line of text representing the brand name or some simple symbols. These details don't need to be legible just to give the impression of a real eraser. You can also add a thin border around the body of the eraser to create a more three-dimensional effect. Now let's create a lighting effect. Take a piece of white or lighter colored paper, cut a small curved piece, and glue it slightly off-center onto one of the top corners of the eraser. This detail will create the illusion of light shining on it, making the eraser look less flat and softer. Don't glue too much, just a small highlight is enough. Next, we move on to the background. Take the prepared background paper. The background color can be white light, blue light, yellow, or any color that evokes a feeling of studying cleanliness and gentleness. Place the eraser on the background, but don't glue it yet. Move it up, down, left, or right to find the position you find most harmonious. You can place the eraser slightly tilted to create a If you want the collage to have more space, you can add a few very light background details. For example, a faint horizontal line might represent a tabletop, or a few small shapes might suggest books, but keep it very minimalist so the eraser remains the center. These details are suggestive, not necessarily explicit. Throughout the cutting and pasting process, keep the pace slow. This is a great activity for relaxation, especially when you want to return to a sense of simplicity and familiarity. Each piece of paper placed down is a moment of focus, a break from the noise and pressure of the outside world. Once all the pieces of paper are glued together, set the artwork aside and let the glue dry for a few minutes. While waiting, think about the meaning of the eraser. It's not just for erasing words, it's also a symbol of correcting mistakes, of opportunities to start over, of patience in learning and in life. A very small image, but with a very sweet meaning. After the glue has dried, you can hold the collage up, tilting it slightly to feel the layers of paper and the overall composition. If you want, you can add a layer of cardboard behind it to make the artwork more stable or place it in a small frame to decorate your study corner or desk. A paper eraser, though very simple, evokes a familiar and warm feeling. And with that, you have completed the crafting of a paper eraser. The most important thing isn't whether the eraser looks real or not, but the time you spent slowing down, focusing, and creating gently. From ordinary pieces of paper, you've created an image that evokes learning and simple things. Thank you for listening and staying with us until the end of the video. Hopefully, this voice-only tutorial brought you a feeling of relaxation, closeness, and comfort. If you enjoy this kind of gentle collage content, keep trying it with other familiar objects in your daily life. Who knows, from a small eraser, you might find a lot of joy and peace in your own creative journey. Have a relaxing time and see you in the next videos.